How's it going, guys? It's Tax. Today is going to be part one of Road to 3 marks for the E50 M. I had this thing 2 marked for quite a while, and I just decided to finish it up the other day, so now I can make a series on it. This first game was on Mountain Pass, and I get hit by a Jagdpanzer E100 very early in the game, taking about half my HP. So I'm going to kind of talk about how to deal with situations like that and what to do when you lose a lot of health early on. But anyway, hopefully this is helpful. Enjoy. Alright, so this game was all tier 10, but there's no artillery, so that's nice. There are a lot of TDs, which is going to make this kind of campy. And Mountain Pass is already a bad map for medium tanks, because there's really not a lot of plays you can make early on. But still the best opening play is attempting to get some early damage. Now the best place to do that in Mountain Pass is trying to shoot their heavy tanks when they cross the H5, H6 position. Now there's really two places to do that from. The first is this bush right here. This is the safer of the two positions, but you're not going to be able to spot the heavies as they cross for yourself. The second is this bush up here, which is less safe for obvious reasons. You don't have a rock cover as much, and you can get shot from the ridge at H3, H4, which you'll see happen. However, you can spot the enemies for yourself, so you don't have to rely on your teammates for spotting them. Now you see I'm going to choose to go up to this bush, and the reason for that is I don't know how good my teammate's spotting range is, and I know mine's very good, so I want to be assured of spotting the enemies as they cross. And you can see I do get the light on the 277 right here in a second. There he is. And you'll notice I actually wait to shoot at him until he's over here. Now that shot goes low, which is unfortunate. However, it's better that I take the shot here because more of their tank is exposed. The early part of the cross, just the turret's exposed. And that's really not a reliable enough target. It's too small to shoot at. So if you wait until the enemy tanks are over on this side of the ridge, it's much more likely that your shot will actually hit. And now you can see this STB just got hit. The only place he could have gotten hit from is up on this ridge, which is what I was talking about. What happens is if the faster enemy tanks will cross here earlier than the slow ones before you can light them, and they'll come up to this ridge at H3, H4 and start to shoot down on the people where I am. Now the reason I'm not lit yet is probably because of these trees blocking me. The enemy tank is probably right about here, and he spotted this STB when the STB pushed too far forward, which cost the STB some health, excuse me. But now I'm going to be able to take another shot because I'm not lit, because I positioned myself with these trees between me and this ridge. If they come over to this side of the ridge, there's not a lot you can do. It is what it is. But luckily, I didn't get lit here. So you can see I do get around into the E4. Go for the second one. That doesn't happen. That's okay. And now there's really no more shots. You'll see the 121B just got hit again by the guy up here. I'm still not lit because of those trees. And now there's a bush between me and the ridge as well. But I'm not going to push back out there because there's no more shots. So now if you notice, R2684 actually pushed the bridge, and I'm wondering if I can push with him right now. If you get enough tanks to push the bridge, you can actually do some pretty good damage to the other team. However, you'll see he goes down in just a second. There he goes, so that's not an option anymore for me. And now if you look at the map, we have a lot of tanks in the north and not so many in the south. And I'm actually not so worried about that because this map's kind of odd in that the north can't really push the right side of the map and the south spawn can't really push the left side of the map. So even if we win the north side of the map, if my team tries to push down the 9-0 line into their base, they're most likely going to die. There's usually some kind of TDs sitting in their base just waiting for tanks to push through this line. Likewise, if their tanks win the south and then try to push up the 1-2 line towards our base, we're just going to slaughter them as they come towards us. So the flanks are really not pushable, or I should say the right flank's not pushable by the top base, and the left flank's not pushable by the south base. And you'll see that happens. Actually, both teams win the flank and then attempt to push through. The better thing to do is win the flank and then come back to a different part of the map and see what you can do. Now, like I said, there's not really a lot of plays I can make right now, so I'm just trying to look for chip damage on whatever I can. Right now it's these teammates, and you'll see this guy makes a pretty big mistake right here. It's very common also though. If you take your tank onto a ramp like this, you actually kind of angle your top plates in a way that it's much more easy to penetrate. If this guy was on flat ground, his engine deck would be at too sharp an angle for me to pen, but because he's down on this ramp a bit, I can get a nice easy shot to it, as you see there. So that's just something to keep in mind, both when you're shooting at enemies and when you're positioning your own tank. The second shot doesn't go in, and here's where I make kind of a mistake. So see, he's looking at me, and what I want him to do is bounce off my upper plate, because even though he's got a very big gun, it's still going to bounce off my upper plate at this angle. What I didn't realize is my turret's actually showing. So you'll see, I pop out there, and he snaps one right into my turret for almost 1200 damage. So now I'm at 800 damage and half my HP's gone, which is not a good way to start the game. We're also 2 tanks down already, so that's just not going great. That guy pulls in front of my shot, that's okay. I probably should have just waited anyway. They have won the south already, like I was predicting, and it looks like we're going to win the north. I am able to put one into the JPES there, because his armor is flat like that. Heat shells, which is what I'm firing, are very good at penetrating the thick flat armor like that. If you look at the map, you notice that we're starting to get pushed in the middle. They're pushing down the 1-2 line. Like I said, you really can't do this viably. And we're starting to get pushed in the middle. So I see that, but I want to get this guy to the game before I go deal with that. Unfortunately, this one bounces, and I can't afford to take another hit from this guy. So I go back to help the middle. I'm a little worried about them pushing through the 1-2 enough to shoot me. I don't think they're going to win it, but you can see I kind of am being a little careful here. Again, half my HP is gone. You have to play much more conservatively when you lose a lot of HP early on. You got to be careful. I went for the Commander's Hat shot on the E4 that didn't pan out. That's okay. And now this 277 gets lit. I try to get a shot into him, but it looks like it hit the track of that 430U. It wasn't lit yet, and that 430U was probably the one who was shooting my STB and 121B earlier at this bush. And now I feel comfortable pushing up to this bush because their guys pushing up the 1-2 line are pinned down by my mediums right here, so I don't think I'm going to get flanked anytime soon. And again, if you look at the map, we've now won the 9-0 line, and my heavies are just going to continue to push into their base, which is a big mistake. You can see the FE4005 is already there waiting for them. My E3 and eventually my JPES actually make a great play and push into the center of the lake area, which is a much better play than pushing down into the base. So props to them for that. But here I'm just looking for shots on these guys who are poking my IS-4. They don't know I'm up to this bush as of now. As you'll see by this STB gives me a nice shot into his track. Like that. But now I am lit. So I gotta be careful. Especially of that E4, because he will do a number on me and potentially one-shot me if he does pen. So I'm really just waiting for shots right now. Nothing too much happening. Again, you can't make any crazy plays on this map, in my experience, until later on. So you just kind of have to get the damage where you can. We're up to 1600 damage. That's not too bad. But you can see my heavy tanks are already starting to die as they push down this 9-0. So if you're ever playing a heavy tank and you win this flank, don't push into their base. Maybe come through the lake area, or even go back to base and come to a different flank. And here this STB makes a really big mistake. He knows I'm here, but he gets tunnel vision on our IS-4, and I'm able to track him again. You can actually learn a lot from his mistake. There's 2 types of awareness in this game. The first is map awareness, looking at the map, knowing what's going on there. Everybody knows about that. The second is just general situational awareness, and this STB it displays exactly what not to do here. He gets tunnel vision, which is hyper-focusing on one tank and ignoring all the other ones around you. You can see he was looking at that IS-4, and he forgot I was here, and allowed me to get a shot into him. So now he's permatracked, which is going to cost him his game. Our IS-4 takes him out. So just being aware of where the enemy tanks are and what angles you can get shot from is a massive part of this game. So learning from this STB and not doing what he did is very helpful to improve your game. This E4 is doing a much better job of that. You can see he's looking at me, but he also doesn't want to overextend and get hit by the IS-4. Now it looks like we've won the bridge by this point. Our STB got across. Great job to him. And the C4 on their team decided to push back from the 1-2 line instead of trying to push it, which is a good play. But instead of staying on top of this ridge, he decides to come down it, which was not the greatest play. And you'll see that gets him killed, although it does give me 2 shots of damage, so I guess thank you to him for that. But if he had just stayed on this ridge, that would have been an excellent play. May have actually caused us to lose the game. Now, like I said, all our heavy's dead here. You just cannot push the 9-0 line unless you have like your entire team there or something. But in general, just don't do it. Now this C4 makes a classic mistake. A lot of people kind of forget that their gun is not at the very tip of their tank. So some of their tank is going to be showing before they actually get a shot on the person they're poking. And when someone is hard camping the corner, like I was, they're often going to snap a shot into your track before you can even get your gun on them and then pull back, which is exactly what I did to this E4. And that again comes down to the situational awareness of where the parts of your tank are. So just being aware of where even the tip of your tank is really important, because I was able to track him and get him killed by the E4, or the IS-4, before he could even get a shot on me, because he pushed into a hard camped corner. Now here's where I make a big mistake. My plan was to YOLO this E50 M, push down this hill, ram him, and shoot him and kill him. The E50 M is very good for ramming, so that would have done a lot of damage to him and not that much to me. However, I forgot about their STRV. Now all their other tanks are lit, so what I should have done is looked at their lineup and noticed which tank isn't lit, and of course the STRV is right here. But I do make a good play. Instead of following through with my original plan, which would have been to push down this hill, I decide to fall back. Now that does allow the STRV to hit me again. Unfortunately, I'm down to 63 HP now. If I had decided to keep pushing over this hill into the E50 M, I may have killed him, maybe, but I also would have certainly died to the STRV. So it's okay to change your plays in the middle of them. A lot of people will commit to one play and then continue it through the entire game no matter what happens, when you really need to adapt to what's going on to be a successful player, in my opinion. And here, again, I'm at 63 HP, I cannot take another hit. What I'm waiting for is their Sturv to hit our TDs as they push through. You can see, I think the Sturv hit him here, but I wasn't sure, so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to get hit. So I wait for the Sturv to fire. You can see the flash of his gun there, and then I get a shot into him here. Now here's something about the Sturv that a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people not utilize, is they have extremely thin side armor. So even at this extreme angle that I'm shooting him at, it still manages to penetrate and does damage. So shooting at the Sturv side it's one of their weak points, and it's very useful to know. Now our team is finally pushing into the 1-2 line. Their 60 TP is on 100 HP, so I'm not worried about him. What I am worried about, and you'll see me ping it right here, is their Sturv. You can see he fell back. I'm worried about him pushing up to the ridge that I was talking about earlier. That would have been a great play by him to push up here and shoot us in the side as we crossed. Luckily he doesn't do it, but both me and this E3 were worried about it. You can see we both pinged the ridge. This JPEZ actually turns just to make sure he doesn't do that, so props to the JPEZ for that. And here, as I poke up this ridge, I'm very worried about their TDs sitting on this the hill at their base. This is a very common spot for tank destroyers to sit at, and they'll kind of spot you as you push up this hill. So you can see I'm apprehensively pushing up here. I don't get lit, I don't light anything, so I decide there's nothing there. And here I'm looking for their Sturv. Our 430U still has 700 HP, so I'm going to let him take the hit because he can. I don't know where the Sturv is, so I just wait for the 430U to push in. He does light him there, and I assume the Sturv's going to be looking at the 430U because I'm not lit, which he is, and he's actually up on this ridge, which gives me a clear shot into his upper plate. You have to be kind of aware of how your tank interacts with the terrain around you, because if you're on bumps and ridges in a way that makes your armor weaker, it's going to make you much easier to kill, as you can see with this Sturv right here. He'll do it again here in a second. You can see he tries to stop to kill me right here, but because he's on such an extreme ridge, or an extreme angle, his front plate is more or less, or not more or less flat, but it's much less angled than it usually would have been, which allows me to put another round through it. So if he had either stopped a little later or not come over that ridge, I would not have been able to pen him, and he maybe would have killed me. So just being aware of how the terrain interacts with your tank is very important. Now here we've brought this back. So props to especially my E3 and JPEZ for pushing through here rather than going down the 9-0 line. And here I have to stop because I'm at 63 HP, so if either one of their tanks hit me, I'm absolutely going to die. Whereas my tanks have enough HP that they might survive a hit. So I wait for them to push first. Again, because they're not hit yet, I can assume that nobody's up here. And this 430 just decides to go full yellow, and I'm noticing he's not hit, so I feel it's safe to move up. He's just going to fly right over this ridge. And again, every portion of ground that he covers and doesn't get hit, I can assume their TDs are not in certain bushes. And I can see, I think their FE might be in this bush on the 0 line, but because our 430 is not hit by anyone from over here, I'm not worried about it. And now I just decide to push in. FE players usually will shoot for the higher damage, and I only have 63 HP, so I feel safe doing this. I whiff a shot over the FE, that's okay, but now I'm going to load HE. Everybody knows these FEs have horrible armor, so loading HE is very beneficial. There you can see I roll for 560, which is excellent. And I try to get one more shot into him, but that doesn't pan out. He actually falls off the back of this cliff, and our E3 takes him out as he falls down, so nice shot to our E3. Their FE is lit, and I try to look for a shot over this ridge, but it's too rocky, so I'm going to speed this up a litlittle bit. You can see our 430U tries to do that as well, but he falls off and dies, so I'm not going to follow his example, and I just push back down the way I came. And now it's kind of a funny situation, because we've won the game. As soon as their FE fires, the rest of us are going to descend on him, and he will die. However, one of us has to take the hit, and we're all low enough. Well, maybe not this 1-2-1, but the rest of us are low enough that it's going to kill us for sure. So one of us has to take the hit. You can see I try to get a shot into his turret roof here, which was a good idea, but it didn't work out, and this grill takes the hit for us. So thanks to him. You can see I say thanks in the chat. I go for the track on the FV, that doesn't work out, that's okay. And I get one more shot into the side of his turret. So that's the game. Great job to our JPEZ and our E3. They did very well pushing the way they did. I hope this replay is useful. Kind of showed how to bring back a bad start. You know, I lost half my HP and only had 700 damage at the beginning of this game. You just kind of have to play more conservatively, and oftentimes it'll work out like this. So yeah, hopefully it was useful, and let's go take a look at the end plates. Alright, so I ended up with a Confederate Medal and a Master Badge First Class. I got 5,000 damage, just barely beating out this IS-4. Also 1,100 base XP. I lost 21,000 credits just because of all that gold I fired across the bridge of those TDs, but that's fine. Fired 27 shots, only 13 penned, so not the best there, but it is what it is. That's basically it for the stats. I'm very happy with the result of 5,000 damage this game. It's not some crazy, 10k game, but considering the way this game started out, this is a pretty darn good result. But yeah, hopefully that was useful. Kind of showed how to take a game that starts badly and get some decent damage out of it. If you enjoyed, hit the like button, subscribe so I can make more of these, and I will see you around.